On August 10, 2010 ADB, Japan was conquered by the Holy Empire of Britannia. 7 years later, teenage student Lelouch finds himself pulled into a battle between anti-government terrorists and the Britannian army in the Shinjuku ghetto. In the middle of the conflict, a mysterious green-haired girl saves him from death by granting him the power of the king, which allows him to compel others to do his bidding. Using his newfound power, Lelouch hijacks an enemy Sutherland and leads the rebel in a counterattack against the Britannian army, forcing Viceroy Glovis La Britannia to call for the release of an experimental nightmare frame, the Lancelot, piloted by Suzaku Kugurugi. The Lancelot proves to be far superior to the previous nightmare frame models, and Lelouch is forced to change his plan. Just as the Britannian army corners the terrorists, Prince Clovis orders an immediate ceasefire as he is being held at gunpoint by Lelouch. Lelouch confronts Clovis about the murder of his mother, Mariana V. Britannia, before killing him. When he returns to Ashford Academy, he discovers that Colin Kozuki, one of the terrorists that he helped in Shinjuku, attends the same school. The limitations to his newfound power are also revealed to him when he attempts to question her, then erase her memory. So he creates a cunning deception to ease her suspicions of his identity. When the death of Prince Clovis is announced in the media, it is Suzaku Kugurugi who is accused of the murder. The purist faction within the Britannian army scapegoats Suzaku for Clovis' death, planning to use him as an excuse to rid the army of honorary Britannians. Lelouch concocts a plan to save his childhood friend, with some help from Kellen and Kanami Ogi, leader of Kellen's resistance group. Announcing himself publicly as Zero, Lelouch declares it was he who killed Glovis and uses his power on Jeremiah Cottwold to force him to assist Suzaku's rescue. In private, Lelouch offers Suzaku the opportunity to turn against Britannia for falsely accusing him, but Suzaku refuses, wishing to change the empire from within. To Lelouch's surprise, CC, the girl who gave him his power, is alive and now living in his residence. Suzaku, having been acquitted of all charges, accidentally meets third Princess Euphemia Libritannia and ends up intervening in an internal purist faction struggle. Meanwhile, second Princess Cornelia Libritannia endeavors to take charge of Area 11 as Viceroy and bring Zero, now the Empire's #1 enemy and most wanted man, to justice. Suzaku transfers into Ashford Academy and faces the scorn of the Britannian students. Cornelia continues her hunt for Zero, destroying several rebel strongholds, but finding no clues to his whereabouts. A stray cat slips into the Lemperage residence on campus and takes off the Lelouch Zero mask, and a massive comedic chase involving the entire student body follow. The Emperor of Britannia makes a speech during Prince Clovis' funeral on the virtues of inequality and the social battle for revolution and betterment. Cornelia sets a trap for Zero at the Saitama ghetto, and she begins to clear another resistant cell. Despite Sissy trying to stop him, Lelouch takes the bait and goes to the aid of the Saitama resistance. His plan falls apart from combination of Cornelia's superior tactics and the resistance cell dissimilar motivations. Lelouch is cornered and nearly discovered, but Sissy dons his Zero costume and distracts the Britannian army, allowing Lelouch to escape. Lelouch blames his defeat on the undisciplined rebels and resolves to build something better than a mere resistance unit. A group from Japan Liberation Front takes a hotel and its occupants hostage, including most of the Ashford Students' Council and a disgraced Princess Euphemia. As such, Princess Cornelia cannot make a move hostage takers, which Lelouch realizes and takes advantage of. He mounts a rescue with Ogi's resistance, using his knowledge of Euphemia to barter his way past Cornelia's blockade. As Lelouch speaks with the hostage takers, Suzaku sinks the floating hotel using the Lancelot, Using explosives set up by the resistance fighters, Lelouch derails any rescue efforts by the army so he can take credit for their rescue. Broadcasting publicly to the nation, he announces the creation and purpose of his order of the Black Knights, allies of justice, who will judge the world and protect the weak from those with power. Told mostly from Kellen's perspective, her rocky relationship with her biological mother is revealed. The Black Knights are sent on a mission to take out the drug refrain and find themselves to be popular among the 11s. Kellen's mother is found among the refrain's users and is arrested following the Black Knight's destruction of the drug stock pills. Kellen promises to have changed the world by the time she is released. Cornelia and the Britannian army heads to Narita, hoping to destroy the remnants of the Japan Liberation Front. Lelouch has his knights follow her in the hope of capturing her life, so he can question her about his mother's death. As the Britannian forces closing in on the front's headquarters, Kellen utilizes her new nightmare frame, the Guren Mk2, to cause massive landslide that takes out much of the Britannian forces. The Black Knight's assault on the Britannian army in Narita proves successful, but Cornelia is cornered by Kellen and Lelouch. The army is pinned down by the Japan Liberation Front when they attempt to assist her. At Euphemia's request, Suzaku rushes onto the battlefield in the Lancelot to rescue Cornelia. He saves Cornelia and manages to corner Lelouch. Sissy comes to Lelouch's rescue by mentally traumatizing Suzaku, but is injured when Suzaku begins firing wildly. As he takes care of her, Lelouch inadvertently learns her real name. The Black Knights retreat from the conflict in victory, leaving the Japan Liberation Front and the Britannian army to fight amongst themselves. Zero and the core members of the Black Knights meet with Taizo Kirihara, one of the most powerful people in the Japanese underground, acquaintance of Lelouch from his younger days at the Kuroguri Shrine. Lelouch deftly displays his tactical prowess and wit before Taizo and reveals his true identity to the man to gain his trust and support. When Lelouch returns to Tokyo, Shirley informs him of her father's death, indirectly caused by Zero during the Battle of Narita. Kellen and Lelouch separately reflect upon the deaths of innocents in the Narita campaign. Shirley secretly follows Lelouch and witnesses the battle between the Japan Liberation Front and the Britannian army, which Lelouch ends by detonating the Japan Liberation Front freighter as the Britannian nightmares begin to board it, killing all personnel on board and giving the Black Knights the element of surprise. Suzaku attacks Lelouch, easily overpowering his weaker Burai with the Lancelot, forcing him to eject. He crash lands near Shirley and is knocked unconscious. Lelouch believes Shirley may have discovered his identity at Zero, so he and Sissy pursue her to Narita. Ogi explores the battlefield of the previous night, discovering the wounded Villetanu left for dead. Lelouch encounters Mao, a young man who also has the power of Gias. Mao uses his mind-reading power to play on Shirley's insecurities, manipulating her into shooting Lelouch, but she falters as the last moment and Sissy sends Mao away temporarily. Since Shirley is being torn apart by grief and guilt, Lelouch uses his Gias to erase his memories of him. Sissy explains her history with Mao and how his ability to turn his Gias off drove him insane. An injured Villetta wakes up on Ogi's apartment and he discovers she has selective amnesia. Sissy leaves Lelouch to take care of Mao herself, but Mao gains the upper hand when he incapacitates her. Lelouch utilizes his intellect to fool Mao and rescue Sissy from him, using the Britannian police to surround and shoot Mao. Safe on the rooftop away from the scene, Lelouch affirms his contract with her, promising to not fall victim to his power as Mao did. Sissy departs as the messenger to the Chinese Federation and Millie has a marriage interview with Lloyd Asplund, creator of the Lancelot. Mao returns to kidnap Lelouch's sister, Nunnally, and holds her hostage in the Ashford Academy sewers. Lelouch and Suzaku work together to rescue her, with Suzaku's physical adeptness and the clever use of Lelouch Gias proving to be beyond Mao's planning. Before he can be arrested, Mao reveals that Suzaku killed his own father, and in return, Lelouch silences him with his power. Sisi returns to the campus and finally ends Mao's lives, as Suzaku crumbles on the ground, controlled with his actions after years of secrecy. An inauguration ceremony of Clovis Memorial Art Museum is being held, with Euphemia judging the artworks. Lelouch agrees to help Kiyoshiro Todo's comrades rescue their leader, and Shili finds an old crumpled letter detailing her previous knowledge of the Zero's identity. During the rescue mission, Lelouch convinces Todo to join the Black Knights. The Lancelot appears and attempts to stop them, but Lelouch is able to predict its movements and plan and counterattack. When Todo slices open the cockpit, revealing Suzaku within, Lelouch is shocked, having originally planned for Suzaku to become nonetheless knights. He orders an immediate retreat as reinforcements arrive. Seeing Suzaku's bravery and creed, Euphemia announces to the media that he will be her knight. As Euphemia's knight, Suzaku, Lelouch establishes his hierarchy of the Black Knights. Deterred Reed suggests assassinating Suzaku, but Lelouch has other plans for him. He launches a plan to disable and capture Suzaku and the Lancelot at the Britannia military base on Shikinejima. The plan almost succeeds, but second Prince Schnizel El Britannia appears and orders his floating battleship, the Avalon, to bombard the island. Suzaku encounters Callan, while Euphemia is found by Zero. Suzaku learns Callan is a Black Knight and pilot of the Guren Mk2, and in return tells her about how he killed his father. Euphemia confirms her suspicions. Lelouch is Zero. When Lelouch, Callan, Suzaku and Euphemia suddenly fall into the ruins, Lelouch and Callan steal the prototype nightmare frame Gawain to escape. Elsewhere, the exiled Japanese government from 7 years ago launches a full-scale assault on Kyushu with the help of the Chinese Federation. The Britannian army fights back against the Kyushu invaders with the Lancelot. Meanwhile, Nina meets Princess Euphemia and inadvertently gives Euphemia peace of mind about her feelings for Suzaku. As Suzaku becomes cornered when his Lancelot's battery runs out, Euphemia encourages Suzaku to fight on life. Zero and Sisi fly into the battlefield in the Gawain to recharge the Lancelot, and the two Nightmares end the Kyushu campaign together. The Ashwood Academy holds their annual school festival. Augie, Violetta, Euphemia, and Colin all make their separate ways to the event. A series of close encounters risks the revealing of hidden identities, but all those involved escape. Suzaku pilots of Ganymede for the festival's main event, making a giant pizza slated to the world's largest. When Euphemia presence is revealed, mass panic ensues. On live television, she declares the Mount Fuji area to be the specially administrated zone of Japan, where 11s can be referred to the Japanese again. During the commemoration ceremony for the specialty administrated zone, Lelouch and Euphemia privately discuss Japan's future. She convinces him, and Lelouch summarily halts his rebellion until he suddenly loses control of his geese, while jokingly telling her to kill all the Japanese. The geese-influenced Euphemia orders a bloody massacre of the people attending the ceremony. Blaming himself resolute, Lelouch decides to salvage the situation by declaring Euphemia's specially administrated zone a trap to lure out the Black Knights, and commands his troops to defeat the Britannian forces, protect the Japanese, and stop Euphemia. Left with no choice, Lelouch shoots and mortally wounds Euphemia in front of Suzaku. Suzaku returns to the Avalon with her battered body as the Black Knights continue to contain the violence. She succumbs to her injuries as Lelouch announces his plan for the creation of the United States of Japan. Alone, Lelouch grieves over his actions, and Sisi comforts him, reminding him that she will stay alongside him as per their contract. Soon, the entirety of Area 11 revolts against the Britannian Empire. Advancing with his massive army, Lelouch ignites the conflict by initiating the collapse of the Tokyo settlement. Lelouch's strategy gives the Black Knights and their allies the upper hand in their battle against the Britannian army. As raids break out throughout the country, the Black Knights take over the Ashford Academy as their headquarters, and the students are spared on Lelouch orders. An enraged Suzaku, now informed of Zero's identity by a mysterious young boy named Vivi, pursues Lelouch for revenge, which Cornelia also covets. After managing to capture Cornelia, Lelouch forces her to reveal what little information she knows of Marion's murder, but the answers do not please him one bit. Vivi takes Nanare to Kami-Nijima, and Lelouch abandons the Black Knights to rescue his sister. Without Lelouch, the Black Knights begin to lose ground to the Britannian army. Suzaku follows Lelouch, leading to a final confrontation between the former friends.